we could fly.
Welcome to this new season of the Have a Cup of Jahani podcast. So I want to title this new season that I'm embarking on with I'm Growing. So this is going to be the season of growth. And that's what I'm going to share with you throughout the season. So I thank you for coming over here and sitting with me. And I hope you enjoy. Hello, everyone. So here's the situation. I watched Love is Blind season 4. I finally finished it. And today we're going to talk about it. So saying that, I'm going to give you 3 seconds because this is going to have some spoilers. So if you haven't seen season 4 of Love is Blind and you don't want me to ruin it for you, please skip this episode. Go listen to some of my other ones or wait up for next Wednesday when I push out another new episode. But if you don't mind spoilers, stick around. 1, 2, 3. Okay. So on season 4, we had what I call 2 mean girls. And I am telling you, I thought I was going back in time to that movie, Mean Girls, with Lindsay Lohan and then the other ladies. And it triggered me. It gave me a lot to think about. And of course, it gave me a lot of emotions, hence why I am here doing a whole episode with you all for just this. But for those that don't know what the show is about, here's a description. Blind is a show it's a dating show, I should say, where participants get to know each other without seeing each other. They talk to one another, and then they decide to engage based on their conversations, that connection that they have gotten through those conversations alone. And they only get to meet face to face after they've made a choice to be engaged with one another. Okay, so going back to my 2 mean girls, Micah and Irena. And their behavior just on the show left a lot to be desired. So during their time on the show, Micah and Irena engaged in what I call mean girl behavior. They were listening into other people's conversations, and you see this being played again on the recap. They even went as far as to laugh. I forgot specifically what the instance was, but I want to say that one of the other girls that was dating one of the guys that either Micah or Irena were dating, they fell out, right? And then the girl comes back to the women's pod, and of course she's heartbroken. She's crying, and you see Jackie there. That's a whole other conversation, by the way. But you see Jackie there, and she's comforting her and, patting her on the arm and so forth. What you would do when someone is in pain physically, mentally, or, just heartbroken. You will empathize with them. You will try to give them comfort. Mike and Irena, no, not them. What do? They laugh. They make faces at one another. It is just the epitome of not just mean girls. So I don't want to just completely just put them into that box, but the epitome of immaturity, I would say. And when I look at it that way, I feel more empathy towards these 2 individuals, because at the end of the day, they're people. We are flawed as human beings. We all are. But I want to focus on their actions, because their actions is what really triggered me. And not just their action, but also what they said during the reunion, which just completely did not take accountability for their actions. So, but let's talk. Okay. So Irena, she started talking to Zach, right? Zach, you can tell he's a quirky individual. He has a good heart, it seems, from the edits and what we see on the show. And he has his life pretty much kind of like together, right? And he is talking to Bliss and Irena. He's talking to other people, but these are the 2 women that kind of like go neck and neck with one another when it comes to winning over Zach. And unfortunately, Zach picks Irena. And that, at the beginning, I'm like, no worries. He did what was in his heart. But he made that choice because Irena tried to blame Bliss for being a mean girl and the audacity. So when I saw that episode, when that happened, I didn't think anything of it, right? Because we hadn't yet seen Bliss. We haven't yet seen Irena, right, in her full mean girl regalia yet. We hadn't seen it. We weren't there yet as viewers. So I was like, okay, Zach is doing Zach. He's making the best choice for himself. Okay, I support it. And then as we go by, an episode later, I'm like, Zach made a big mistake. Bliss was supposed to be the person that he stays with. And I say that because when Zach and Irena meet, right away, she focuses on his looks, like right away. There was like no hesitation, and she is putting him down about how he stares at her, how he looks at her. And I think she said, like, you look like a cartoon like 3 or 4 times in that short span of when they meet, or that short span that they edit to show us in the show, that meetup of them getting engaged in person finally. And I knew right away when that happened that was a complete red flag. Because one, the show is about love is blind. Can you fall in love with someone blindly? Can you fall in love with somebody just based off of the conversations, the connections, supposedly what's on their heart? Because you also have to assume that what they're telling you is real. It's not just, them giving you lip service as well. So yeah, and it's like she almost, well, not almost, she throws all of that they have gained in the trash, essentially, because once she sees them, she makes a determination that this is not her person. And it is solely based on looks, because that was her reaction. So then fast forward to the reunion, when I'm watching the reunion, and this lady, she was one of the last people to talk in the reunion because she came in later. And this lady had the audacity to say that it was a gut feeling that she had. Ma'am, there was no such thing. You talked about that man's physical appearance. You made judgment about his physical appearance, and your mannerism and behavior let us all know that you was not having it as soon as you saw how he looked like. So it was obvious that physical appearance was what played a role in there. And I think the reason why she tried to backtrack was because she has gotten caught. So it wasn't that Irene actually did some growth and it felt bad and was like, wow, I missed out on a potentially good relationship with somebody that I had so much in common with. And it wasn't that. It was, she was embarrassed, because it's embarrassing. Nobody wants to outwardly be in public that one person that bases everything off of looks. Yet we know that there are people like that. We know that. There's a reason why that's a character in fiction and in movies, is because there's such people in real life that's all that they base worth on, is just the external looks of people. And I just wish that she would have owned that, because if that is her shtick, then own that. But when she didn't, it lets me know that she knows, Irene knows, that is wrong. Because if she would have been proud of her behavior, she wouldn't have done that half-hearted apology that she did on the show, on the reunion episode. So that's Irene. Moving on to Micah. Micah, I saw more like as a follower, or it depends too, because we don't know what gets edited out and what gets edited in and what gets clipped together in these episodes, right? So take everything that I say with a grain of salt, especially when it comes to these shows, because God, I don't know what's on the editing floor. nevertheless, when it comes to Micah, to me, based on what I saw on the show, she seemed like either the follower that went along with what Irene was doing, or she was egging her on off camera, and Irene was just doing her bidding. Because that's what it seemed like. Like she would tell Irene something, like that one time that they were eavesdropping on somebody's conversation to try to see where somebody else was in the relationship with a person that they were also talking to in the pods. And Irene did that because Micah wanted to do it, but Micah didn't want to do it because she didn't want to be perceived as such. So you can tell, like, because she was standing in the back and kind of like with that little smile. And I'm pretty sure she got info from Irene as soon as Irene got done eavesdropping. So that's how she felt to me, like either the follower or the silent mastermind leader of that two-person mean girl gang. And I was disappointed in her as well, because she had, not only did she have the physical aspect that Irene have, and when I say the physical aspect, I mean like not only did she put a lot of worth into how someone looks on the outside. And an example of this was that she literally was trying to change Paul's outfits and the way that he dresses, like as soon as they started living together. And look, a very little judgment here. I used to do that as well when I was in my 20s. I wanted to change whoever I was dating, especially if I saw that they could look better just by some changes of their outfits. But once I got older, I understood that it was not my job to change the people that I was dating or that I was, was romantically involved with. That was not my job. That my job was just to accept them and enjoy their companionship for who they are and what they are in that moment, right? Not from what I see them accomplishing in the future or what I think they could potentially be or do or look like in the future, right? That my job was just to enjoy them in the present. That's it, and help them out and, be a partner to them as they are a partner to me. But it took me a while to learn that because I did wanted to change them. It was like, to take Marshall's words from him, it was like I was seeing them as a project as opposed to a partner. And with maturity, I changed that mindset. So now I'm just, I'm married to my husband and he is who he is and I accept him for who he is. And that's it. If he wants to change, he changes. If not, that really is on him. But that's how I saw Micah when she was doing that to Paul. It reminded me a lot of what I used to do. And that's why I said that she was also leaning a lot into the physical aspect of things. But she was more hopeful that she could change Paul. I think this is me doing a lot of assumptions here. But for Micah, another thing that was in the mean girl realm was that she flirted with so much disrespect with Kwame when they finally saw each other in Mexico. And it was wild. I felt for Chelsea because I would have had some words, but I'm a little different though. I wouldn't have left. I would have had some words or maybe a little bit more, but I'm a little different, right? So, yeah, it's just, to me, it's a certain kind of respect that you have for people that are engaged or that are partnered with somebody else. And for me, she crossed that line with the closeness, the handsiness that she had towards Kwame, the long conversations that they had when that was supposed to be a moment of joy and community for all of them, not just for some of them. And that's how I felt. And when she went on the show, she also backtracked her actions, both her and Kwame. backtrack their actions. So it's not just on Micah. It's also, it takes two to tango, or sometimes three or four, whatever. Um, but yeah, she was like, well, I needed that, or blah, 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 or I didn't see it as anything because it was just flirting and stuff like that. And even Paul, he was like, I'm okay with that and stuff like that. You know, so I guess it depends on the people, but for me, that would have been a no-no. I would have had strong words with Kwame, because at the end of the day, Kwame, if I was Chelsea, I would have had strong words with Kwame, because Kwame is a person that owes me that respect because he's with me. I would have had strong words with Micah as well, and give her a few talking points about respect, because that's not it. And then I would have even had some words with Paul and be like, come get your girl. Because obviously I don't know what you're doing, but you're not doing it right. So come get your girl. But yeah, mad disrespectful what Micah did. So not only was she artificial when it comes to just putting a lot of weight on the physical aspect, but she is also displays selfish and disrespectful behavior, because it's almost like, I'm not too happy with my person, Paul, here. So I want to backtrack a little bit, or at least, get some joy off of somebody else's partner. And that's not cool. That's not cool at all. All these things happen because they just couldn't let go of external looks and concentrate on the internal, which was what got them to fall in love with the first place with their partner. And when I had that epiphany, and I was talking to my husband, because my husband and I watched this show, I was like, it is so sad, because the one thing that will for sure fade in life is the external aspect of somebody. How you look, it's going to fade, it's going to change, it's going to morph into something different. But what will stay is the internal. What will stay is the heart, the soul of that individual. So they had a great chance of being with somebody that they clicked on a deeper level. And by focusing on the external, they let go of something that I think it's golden, is worth a lot more. Their vanity, in essence, just show their true colors, because they just grasp at excuses as to why they weren't clicking, and went as far as to blame others, when all in all, it was them that was just focusing on the looks, how they can change them, and trying to see if the grass is greener on the other side, like Micah did with Kwame. Their behavior on the show just highlighted the importance of looking beyond external appearances and focusing on internal qualities, because like I said, those are the things that are going to last. It also showed that sometimes people's true characters is revealed in higher pressure situations like this. I've heard or read in other blogs that the pods in this show is extreme. Like, they get very little sleep. They are, in these long hour, 2 hour long dates in pods. And they're like speed dating dates, but longer, because they have to switch and go talk to another person, have all those people kind of like categorize or in a way that makes sense for you, then trying to rank them and see which one you will be more compatible with. So if you can imagine, this is a very high pressure situation that they're in. So I would think that when you are in a high pressure situation like that, like they were, kind of like, it strips down the facade and it strips down any walls that one may have. So you get to see the true character of a person. And that's what we got to see in Micah and Irena. And it's unfortunately that they didn't take responsibility for their actions. If they would have, I wouldn't be making this podcast episode today. Or maybe I would have, but I would have been talking about something completely different. If they would have been honest and be like, look, I'm in my 20s. I'm just, I'm looking at how cute they are, how Instagrammable they are, whatever, whatever. I realized on the show that I am not ready to get married because, it will take a whole lot more from me that I'm unwilling to give. If they would have been upfront with that, as opposed to giving this half-hearted apology, I would have had more respect. But their lack of remorse just lets me know that, like I said, it was embarrassment. They got caught. They show their true colors on national TV, international TV. Hell, this is on Netflix. And they're not truly sorry. They're just embarrassed. And that's why that half-hearted apology, non-apology came out. This should be all of our resolutions, not just mine, but all of our resolutions, that we should strive to look past the external appearances and get to know someone's character. And you can take that into any relationship, romantic or not romantic. Look past the external appearances and get to know someone's true character and go from there. All right, folks, thank you so much for tuning in to this episode and bearing with me as I talk about the Two Mean Girl Gang in season 4 of Love is Blind. If you enjoy the show, please consider leaving a review or rating the show on your preferred podcast platform. But you got to tell me, am I too harsh? Is this too harsh? Do you agree or do you disagree? Let me know. Leave me a comment. Send me an email. And I will respond when we chat again next Wednesday. See you then. Bye.
Oh, we could fly.
Thank you so much for listening. Don't forget to follow and subscribe to the show. See you on the next episode. Bye.
Oh, we could fly.